Well, I suppose with 5 children, it is a relatively big family in society now, and we do get a lot of friends who would say, "Oh, it's a very difficult or it's hard work and all that." But I always try to emphasise that the work is nothing compared to the treasure of each child. My friends always agree that every child is such a treasure, So then I talked to them about cheerfulness and working, because without cheerfulness, the family life would just be disaster. And the chapter on St Josemaria is in the way on cheerfulness. I often bring it to prayer if I'm feeling kind of tired, or at bedtime, when it's the children's bedtime, it's a difficult time, that the points might come to my mind, that kind of really me getting cross or angry with the children just because I'm tired isn't, it's not a good example to them, and it's not conducive to their formation. So I think the idea of working on cheerfulness, and of course in a large family there's so many moments that you couldn't exchange for any money, the funny things and the games, or in the summertime we have a trampoline in the garden, and sometimes the whole family goes on it, and the bigger the family, I'm sure our neighbours, I don't know what they think, we're up to they laughing, and all the different age groups, and the big ones minding the little ones, and there's so many opportunities for happy memories, and even for the children to learn about generosity and so on. And I think 2 of the girls, the eldest is 10 and the next one is 9. They've commented that teachers in school have commented to them how much they love each other. So I hopefully that the idea that the love generated within the family is something that maybe stands out. So I think.
In medicine, many of the things you see day to day are very much the same, and then some things are extraordinary occasionally and serious and very upsetting and very demanding. And yet, so the temptation is when you come home after any hard work, that is, to either there's a concept of a man sitting and withdrawing back into his cave and wanting to read a paper or watch television or be very quiet, and yet at the same time that particular moment is perhaps when your spouse and your children haven't seen you for several hours and they want to talk to you, and it's fortunate to be in that position. So the effort required there to give your children the full attention that that they deserve at that time, again, that image of St Joseph is very good, and of course to your spouse as well. Life is made up of many everyday small things and a few big events, but again, even in terms of holiness and the path to heaven and in love of God, it's the love of God in the small details, like playing with the children or reading them a book before bed, or going out to the garden and throwing a bit of football with them or something, or looking at dolls, if you have daughters, which you may not be particularly interested in, but to put that effort in, that's love. As St Josemaria, he said one thing in particular, it came to him during prayer, was as if he heard our Lord saying, love is deeds, not sweet words. So we can talk a lot, but it's actually doing things that really shows the love. And again, that's a phrase and a prayer of his that comes to mind very often, every day.
Well, I think the idea that St Josemaria said about your spouse being the path to heaven, and the children are the mother of path to heaven, and the father's path to heaven. And so when there are difficulties, tiredness or illness, or as John was saying, the tedium of every day, that you see that is your path to heaven. And then instead of being a kind of a boring, tedious, same thing every day, or they seem to be telling the children the same instruction for 25,000th time, that is actually part of your path to heaven. And by teaching the child, for the 50th time the same thing, that you're forming their soul that way, and that eventually it will have the result. And also, I think what he always spoke about, cheerfulness, and keeping the marriage young, to look at each other the same way you did when you were dating. That so to not look on your spouse as a kind of just someone that you have to iron their shirt, or someone else that's in the house, but that this is the person that God has known from all eternity, that it has chosen to help you and you for Him to get to heaven, and to let the children know that that all of this and the family is all part of God's plan, and God's plan is always the best, better than anything we can plan or anything we can imagine.
One particular aspect, St Josemaria had a great love of Saint Joseph in particular, and he often would picture Joseph not maybe as a traditional image of a maybe an older man, but a younger, strong, healthy, virile man, but yet quite a background figure, but yet worked very hard and was given an immensely important task of being the foster father of our Lord. So again, I could take from that teaching and try to apply to myself, that I am to be the St. Joseph to my children, and again to work away hard and silent and do hopefully a very as good a job I can do of that. So that's one specific thing that's been very helpful for me.